Hey everybody, this is Pastor Rick. Today our wordle word is snake. Now this isn't the actual word for today, so don't use me as a cheat code. I'm just saying get your own. And to be honest, today's word I actually didn't get it, so that's why I'm not showing it because I lost. But anyway, today the word is snake, Snake, and I'm going to Genesis chapter 3 verses 1 through 6, and the word snake is replaced by the word serpent. Listen to the word of the Lord. It says, the serpent was the shrewdest of all the wild animals the Lord God had made. One day he asked the woman, did God really say you must not eat the fruit from any of the trees in the garden? Of course we may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, the woman replied. It's only the fruit from the tree in the middle of the garden that we're not allowed to eat. God said, you must not eat it or even touch it. If you do, you will die. You won't die, the serpent replied to the woman. God knows that your eyes will be opened as soon as you eat it, and you'll be like God, knowing both good and evil. The woman was convinced. She saw that the tree was beautiful and its fruit looked delicious, and she wanted the wisdom it would give her. She took some of it and ate it. Then she gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate it too. So, for those who are familiar with the Bible, this is a familiar story about Adam and Eve. And for those who don't know the Bible, this is the first book where it talks about the first two people made, humanity, Adam and Eve. And it talks about how Eve was made out of Adam and the two became one. And so this story, when we talk about the snake or the serpent, is what do you see when you heard it? Is that the snake tempted Eve to do something that she wasn't supposed to do. Now, what was that she was supposed to do? She was supposed to eat the fruit from the tree in the middle of the garden. Now, remember, they had a whole garden. So it's probably 5 skillion trees there, but it was only one in the garden that they must not eat from the fruit or even touch it. It talks about that God says that you will die. Now, the snake says, that ain't going to happen. You're not going to die. And actually, there's a little bit of truth in that, but physically died. But something inside of them died that when they, what they call disobeyed God and they ate the fruit from it. Now, the snake did something interesting with his temptation. Is that he was able to take, Eve knew what the rule was. It's like, I got 5 skillion trees to eat from. I'm not supposed to eat the one in the middle of it. And the snake knew it. But also where he tempted her and made her think is that you're not going to die. And like I said, there was some truth in that. And a physical death. They ended up dying later on as you read the Bible. But at that moment, they weren't going to die. And he had some truth in it. But that's part of temptation. There's always some truth in the temptation. But a lot of people, when we talk about the snake, they connect that to the devil and said, the devil made me do it. The devil tempted her. The snake tempted her. But Eve made the decision to break the rule and to eat from the fruit of it. And what the snake did in that temptation, holding some truth, she looked at that fruit on the tree and it became even more tempting. It talks about, it says it became even more, it looked even more delicious. And that Eve wanted what it provided, that she would have knowledge and wisdom that came from that tree. So the snake here is the tempter. And the snake put it in Eve's mind to make a decision to disobey God. So when we think about our lives, we talk about this snake. We deal with temptation all the time, right? And temptation for Eve was grasping something to make her more powerful or even more attractive or even more having more knowledge and wisdom. And you said that's not a bad thing. But if you read on in the Bible, it talks about the way that we as people misuse that knowledge. We do a lot of harm to each other. There's a lot of good that we do having knowledge and wisdom, but we also use it to separate ourselves as well. And that was kind of the hurt in all these things. It separated Adam and Eve. It separated humanity. What happened with the snake tempting Eve, even though Eve made the decision to do it. Temptation's there, and we can have ways to overcome it and to get away from it, just like Eve could have chosen not to eat from it. and could have said to the snake, "Snake, bye, get out of my face. Psh, you trying to make me disobey God," and went on about her business. But she sat and pondered and thought about it and kept looking and looking and looking and looking at that fruit. And the more she looked at it, the more delicious it looked, and the bigger it probably looked. And she craved even more knowledge and wisdom to what she thought was going to give to her. So temptation is like that for us. We can walk away from it, or we can choose to indulge in it. And the snake is there to kind of entice it, but we can choose to break away from it. So just be encouraged today that we all deal with temptation. You deal with it, I deal with it, we deal with it all the time. But we have the power to leave the snake alone. As a snake, bye. Snake, get out of my face. Snake, I ain't trying to have it. Okay. And then we choose the path of freedom. Or we can choose to give in to that temptation and deal with the consequences of both. So be encouraged today. Be love, be inspiration, and be encouragement to all those around you. And we will see you soon.